This is Off the 11th Hour, and I'm your host, Nathaniel Stone, but we all know who the Lord of Hosts is. Say it with me in any dialect you so choose. Yahuwah Sabaoth. Kodesh brothers and sisters, fellow members in the body of Messiah, and those in the world, thank you for giving me your attention in a world full of distractions. So we are live here at Sukkot in 2024 here at Wewoka, Oklahoma. If you want to come here next year or maybe later on here before it ends, I have the website pulled up here. Just go ahead and register there according to the website and log in, and everything's prompted and followed on that. But if you have any questions or you want to email me directly, go ahead and send me an email here. But hope to see you here next year, everyone that wants to come here. So today we're going to be talking on a really interesting topic, a topic that I really like to talk about called the beasts of the Bible. So there's a lot of misconceptions on the beasts of the Bible of what the beast is, how to understand these things. And as we know, the meat and potatoes of keeping the word is to follow the commandments. And this is things that needs to be focused on primarily. But prophecy is, and prophecy interpretation is something that is relevant because it helps us to avoid pitfalls and to understand as things develop so that we don't fall into traps. Now, I plan on uploading something that I did in my pilot episode. It's called, Plastic Man. It's about red fancy sports cars, prophecy distractions, essentially, is what it is. Sadly, the enemy takes prophecy and he distorts the meaning of things, and he'll even cause false prophetic fulfillments and to lead us off in a misdirected path so that we are going in the wrong direction of understanding of what things are. So, for instance, the mark of the beast, everyone knows the mark of the beast. Everyone's heard that. So I think it's Hobby Lobby. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it's Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby, basically, they believe that that the mark of the beast is a UPC barcode. So they don't have any UPC barcodes at all. So they're putting themselves in a disadvantageous position, difficult to ring things up in the store. And there's other people that believe that the mark of the beast is the COVID vaccine, and then so that means that people that have taken it, that's it, it's over for them. As I've heard some people teach. I don't agree with that. I would definitely not to recommend to whatever. That's your call to do what you do on that, but I don't believe it's the mark of the beast. But the beast itself is a complicated topic, but it's actually quite simple when you let the scriptures define scriptures. That's my go-to thing here. So the point of this teaching is so that we understand what the beast is, and my goal is that no longer do we have to necessarily say the word beast. We can use we can say the word beast, but we can use the variable, and we can put the constant in place. The beast is like a code of what it is. And once you get the scriptures and reveal a code of what it is, you can understand of the fullness of it, and we can understand where it is, where it's at and where it's going, so that we can avoid it. And then also we don't get sucked into all of these wild things that are pulling us in directions that we don't need to be focusing on. So let's get into the topic here. So we're going to be connecting Daniel. Let me go to Daniel here. Chapter 2, which Daniel 2 is not a beast, it's a statue, but we're going to get into that. And Daniel 7 and Daniel chapter 8. So those are the three chapters in Daniel. Then we're going to be connecting that in with Book of Revelation. Primary chapter is going to be Revelation chapter 13. So we're going to go in Daniel 2. We're going to move a little quick, but this is recorded, so you guys can put it on slow pace or go back on your own time that is here. We should know this information. This should be taught readily, especially with the beast. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to connect with everyone, help the scriptures to define scripture of the four elements of the statue of Daniel chapter 2 are going to be connected with the four beasts of Daniel chapter 7 in the same order. So I'm going to give you the thesis first. I'm going to give you, the hypothesis first, and then I'm going to show you my math behind it, and then we'll go ahead and reiterate it again. So basically, as we know of the statue, there's the golden head, silver chest and arms, copper belly and thighs, plural, and then the iron legs and the clay and iron feet. There's the four elements. So of the four elements, we have gold, silver, copper, bronze, brass, whatever your translation says, and iron that are there. And then in Daniel chapter 7, we know that we have the lion, the bear, the leopard, and then the fourth beast that is there. So we're going to make the connection that the gold head is in connection with the lion and so on and so forth. But let's first go ahead and read this so that we can bring it to mind. So Daniel 2:31. Well, that's actually the interpretation. Let me get to the dream itself. That is it. Okay. So Daniel 2:31. You saw, O king. Let me go to ISR one moment. Just making sure I had the right button pressed. You, O king, were looking on and saw a great image. This great image, in its brightness excellent, was standing before you, and its form was awesome. The image's head was of fine gold, its chest and arms of silver, its belly and thighs of bronze or brass, depending on the translation, its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron and partly of clay. You were looking on until a stone was cut out without hands, and it smote the image on its feet of iron and clay and broke them in pieces. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold were crushed together and became like chaff from the summer threshing floors, and the wind took them away so that no trace of them was found. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled all the earth. This is the dream and its interpretation. We declare it before the sovereign. You, O sovereign, are a sovereign of sovereigns, for the Allah of the heavens has given you a reign, power, and strength and preciousness. And wherever the children of men dwell, or the beasts of the field, or the birds of the heavens, he has given them into your hand and has made you ruler over them all. You are the head of gold. Okay, so I'm going to pause there for a second here. We have a statue, and just think of it as yourself, not as yourself, but as a person. You have a head of gold. So he is saying to Nebuchadnezzar, you are the head of gold. So the head of gold is the representation of the Babylonian kingdom, the one that Daniel is in, not the Nimrodic one, and not the Babylon the Great, but there's some different Babylons in scriptures, so we have to differentiate which one it is. This is the Babylon that essentially took power after Assyria, after King Sennacherib and 185,000 soldiers lost, and then the power dynamic shifted, and then Babylon basically capitalized after that and then became the power after that. So he says, you are the head of gold. So that's Babylon. Verbatim in the scripture, that king is the head of gold. And after you rises up another reign lower than yours, and another third reign of bronze that rules over all the earth. And the fourth reign is as strong as iron, because iron crushes and shatters all. So, like iron that breaks in pieces, it crushes and breaks all these. Yeah, as you saw the feet and toes, and partly of potter's clay and partly of iron, the reign is to be divided, but some of the strength of the iron is to be in it, because you saw the iron mixed with muddy clay. And as the toes of the feet were partly of iron and partly of clay, so that the rein is partly strong and partly brittle, and as you saw iron mixed with muddy clay, they are not mixing themselves with the seed of men, but they are not clinging to each other, even as iron does not mix with clay. And in the days of these sovereigns, the Allah of the heavens shall set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, nor the reign pass on to other people. It crushes and puts an end to all these reigns, and it shall stand forever, because you saw that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it crushed the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold. The great Allah has made known to the sovereign what shall be after this, and the dream is true, and its interpretation is trustworthy. So we are given an interpretation. Now, how do you interpret the interpretation is kind of how we can kind of, there's some gray area. I'm going to tell you, like, there's some gray area even with some certain pieces to where I haven't yet come to a point to where I'm like, that is it. But I'm going to share with you the solid information that I am really solid on, and then if we have time, I can share with you some stuff, or briefly some things that I feel that are just a little bit unknown at this point in time to me. So the stuff that I am solid on is right here. He says, "You are the head of gold, and after you rises up another kingdom lower than yours." What's the kingdom that came in the scriptures after Babylon, right? We should know this. It is here. No, not there. 5. Yeah, there it goes. Daniel 5, handwriting on the wall. We should know mini tikul uparsin. Tikul, is it? Where is that at? It's in big capital letters. And then he interprets it. Here it is. Yeah. So mini tikul uparsin, and then he says here in Daniel 5:28, he says, "Your kingdom has been divided and given to the Medes and Persians." So let Scripture define Scripture. No ifs, no ands, no buts. The kingdom of silver is the Medes and the Persians, which is why there's two hands. Silver chest and arms, one head, Babylon, single entity, silver chest and arms, two. Makes sense, right there. That is there, and so the Scripture defines that. So, I'm going to go ahead and jump to that one real quick. We're going to connect to Daniel 7 in a moment, but let me just share, while we're on the Medes and the Persians that we have here, in the book of Daniel, Daniel reveals the book of Daniel upon just connecting basic analysis of reading. It doesn't even, you don't have to go deep. The book of Daniel is so full of gold, it's right on the surface in many aspects. There's a lot of deep stuff too, but the book of Daniel is here. There are two beasts here in Daniel 8. So now we just jump to, and I'm going to jump back to Daniel 2. Daniel 2 is the statue, the image of a man. But Daniel 8, there are two beasts that are referenced here in Daniel 8. There is a ram that we see here in Daniel 8:3, and then there is going to be a he-goat or a male goat here in Daniel 8:8. Two animals that are going to be referenced here. And I'm just going to skip to the end here just for time constraints, and we can go deeper in it as we have time allotted. Right here in Daniel 8:20 and 21, the ram which you saw having two horns are the sovereigns of Media and Persia. And the male goat is the sovereign of Greece, and the large horn between its eyes is the first sovereign, the first king. So in reading Daniel 8, you'll see that this ram is here with characteristics, two great horns, one higher than the other, meaning that the Persian side is stronger than the Media side that is there. And eventually this becomes the Persian Empire, and the Medes kind of got gobbled up into it, and the Medes did come first in power, but the Persians came second in power. But he sees here, he's observing a male goat, and he has a single conspicuous horn between his eyes, and then he strikes the ram, broke the ram's two horns of power, two political houses, two houses of power. There was no power in the ram to withstand him, and the male goat became very great, but when he was strong, the large horn was broken, and in his place 4 conspicuous ones came toward the 4 winds of the heavens. And then, we get into the little horn. We're not going to get into that right now. So what we have here in the interpretation, and this is not an this is Gabriel. Yeah, Gabriel is giving the interpretation of the beginning of Daniel 8. And so in the interpretation, he says that large single horn is the first king. Now, let's go to the Septuagint. Brenton, actually, scripture. I need to go to Maccabees, technically. Here in Maccabees chapter 1, we have here, and it happened, Maccabees 1:1, and it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chetam, had smitten Darius, the king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. Okay, so Scripture is defining Scripture. Maccabees is saying here that the first king over Greece is Alexander the Great. That's who it is. Son of Philip. That's who Alexander is. And this battle against Darius, this is technically Darius the Third. It is Darius, but it's Darius the Third. The Battle of Gaugamela, 331 BC. Probably one of the most amazing battles of antiquity. They had hand grenades and elephants. And Alexander won a 3-to-1 odds against all odds. And he basically blitzkrieged the Persian army. And after he defeated that battle, the ram, his power was broken, and he ran on his heels until eventually was destroyed. But that was the divisive battle that destroyed there. That is 331. And so going back to the book of Daniel, chapter 8, let me switch back over to ISR, which I like all scripture translations, but I do like ISR a lot. It is a bit of an advanced read with some of the verbiage that is different. I like King James too. I like a lot of words there, but there's problems with every English translation to a degree. But so we have here in Daniel 8:21, and we also have a backup in Maccabees 1:1 that we read here, that this first king, now that we have the answer, verbatim, by the way, Alexander, son of Philip, Alexander the Great, is the first king. And we know that he defeated Darius. And we know in history that's the Battle of Gaugamela, 331 AD. So we have Media and Persia, silver chest and arms, and then we have copper belly and thighs. So let's go back to Daniel chapter 2. Here, where it says, and after you rises up another kingdom lower than yours, the head of gold, Babylon, a mene, tekel, upharsin, Medes and the Persians, and another third kingdom of bronze that rules over all the earth. And we know in Daniel 8:20 and 21, that first king is the first king of Greece, the conspicuous horn. And then oddly enough, Alexander the Great dies, and then 4 horns pop up in place. And then it's given to the 4 generals of Alexander, which is like the Succlids and the Ptolemies and the different 4 Greek empires that basically came out of that. So we have, in order so far, golden head, silver chest and arms, copper belly and thighs, Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, as the scripture states, verbatim stuff. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts on those 3 things. The scriptures are really clear on that. So the key to understand is this 4th kingdom, because it's not mentioned by name. But it is mentioned by characteristics. So it crushes and shatters all. Okay, so now let's go to Daniel chapter 7. Let me see where I'm at with time. Yeah, actually doing pretty good. We're going to have a lot of material. Good. So let's read Daniel 7:1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babel, Daniel had in a dream visions of his head on his bed. Then he wrote down the dream, giving the summary of the matters. Daniel spoke and said, I was looking in my vision by the night and saw the 4 winds of the heavens stirring up the great sea, and the 4 great beasts came up from the sea, different from one another. The first was like a lion. It had eagle's wings. I was looking until its wings were plucked off, and it was lifted up from the earth and was made to stand on 2 feet like a man, and it was given a man's heart. Let's pause there. Excuse me, coffee. Okay, let's pause there. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. So there's 2 characteristics. And I was looking until its wings were plucked off, and it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand on 2 feet like a man, and it was given a man's heart. So let's go to Jeremiah chapter 4. In Jeremiah chapter 4, yeah, here it is, right there, verse 7. I don't have a better mic stand, this thing, it's okay. So a lion has come up from his bush, and the destroyer of nations is on his way. He has set out from his place to make your land a ruin. Your cities are laid waste without inhabitant. A lion. Now, we know the Lion of Judah, we understand, but there's also the Lion of Babylon. Okay, so the Ishtar gate on Babylon has that lion with winged image that is there. But the lion has come up from his bush here, Daniel 4. I'm going to show you this Babylon here in a moment. And then, is it verse 13, see, he comes up like clouds and chariots like a whirlwind. His horses shall be swifter than eagles. That is there. Interesting side note here in verse 15, for a voice declaring from Dan and is proclaiming trouble from Mount Ephraim. What is that saying? What happened in Dan and Ephraim? The two golden calves that Jeroboam, I'll be talking about this on Thursday. I think it's Thursday. The sin of Jeroboam. And so he's basically saying, hey, remember the two golden calves that caused the 10-tribe kingdom to get gobbled up by the Assyrian Empire? They're proclaiming trouble because of what happened to them. That same thing is now happening to you because you didn't take heed of what happened to the 10-tribe kingdom. Which, interestingly enough, which is why Dan and Ephraim aren't in the 144,000, but that's a different also point altogether. But it is reference to that. So there. So we have this destroyer upon destroyer. This and who came and destroyed? The two-tribe kingdom, Nebuchadnezzar. We know that. We know that they were taken in. Now, let me see. My memory was just touching on something. If I want to go there, yes, it is in Jeremiah. I'm like, there's something in Jeremiah before we jump out. Is it 25:8? 25. 25:9. 8. Therefore, thus said Yahuwah Sabaoth, the Lord of hosts, because you did not obey my words, see, I am sending and taking all the tribes of the north, declares Yahuwah, and Nebuchadnezzar, the sovereign of Babel, my servant. Whoa, my servant. Interesting, right? His servant. So what I see here is that and I'm gonna just call it these beasts, and I'm gonna give you the answer, and then I'll let Scripture define Scripture. A beast is a kingdom. We're going to get to that here shortly in Daniel 7. A beast is a kingdom. These kingdoms of the nations are basically like subcontractors. The father's like, well, my kingdom's got a bunch of problems right now, and I'm not working with them because that's my covenant, and they need to be taught a lesson, and I'm not playing around. And so I've given them warning after warning. They're killing the prophets and stoning those who are sent to her. So I'm going to go ahead and hire a subcontractor, and he's going to go ahead and take the trash out. And he's gonna spank them, and hopefully the children that receive the discipline and don't get bitter after getting punished for their own actions, and that they will come back to me, and they will be purified as silver is refined 7 times and as gold is tried. So he hires this subcontractor, so to speak, Nebuchadnezzar. All the beasts too, Egypt or all the different nations are there. Not the Jerusalem or his people, Israel, has never been destroyed for doing the right thing, ever, in the scriptures, according from what I can find. They're always protected. King Hezekiah, right? He destroyed all the idolatry, and then he was protected. The one angel came down, killed 185,000 soldiers when Sennacherib was at his doorstep. If he wouldn't have done what he was supposed to do, then that would have taken out Jerusalem right then and there. But he didn't. He did what was right, so the Father protected him. So he hires this subcontractor that is there. So I don't want you to think, I'm not saying to side with the nations at all, but the Father is allowing these to be in power. As we know in Romans 13, we're to be subject to authority, and if we do good, then we get good. We don't bow down to Nebuchadnezzar's image. We don't bow down to things that are against scriptures, but the Father does put this so-called law and order in place to the best of where things are at until his kingdom gets established. So let's go back to Daniel chapter 2, or 7, Daniel 7. Lion had eagle's wings. We just saw that's Babylon in Jeremiah chapter 4. Now, interestingly here, talks about was lifted up from the earth, and it was made to stand on 2 feet like a man, and it was given a man's heart. Is it 4? No. Yeah, I think it's 4. Yeah, here it is. Let me just find it. So I forgot to memorize where this part was. I got everything else. But Nebuchadnezzar says, King, sovereign Nebuchadnezzar, to you it is spoken, the rain has been taken away from you, and you are driven away from men, and your dwelling is to be with the beasts of the field. You are given grass to eat like oxen. 7 seasons or 7 years pass over you until you know that the Most High is ruler in the reign of men, and he gives it to whomever he wishes. He gave it to Nebuchadnezzar, as he said, my servant. And then it says, in that hour, the word was executed on Nebuchadnezzar, and he was driven from men, and he ate grass like oxen. His body was wet with the dew of heavens, till his hair had grown like eagle's feathers, and his nails like birds' claws. And then, let me find it where it's at. He says his understanding came back to him. It talks about his heart. I'm not going to waste time if I can't find it here. It talks about how he was given the heart of the man was returned to him. He was given the heart of a beast. Let me just type this in here real quick. I'll see if I can find it here. We'll go just in Daniel. Daniel 4. Okay, there it is. Cool. All right, so we'll switch back here. So Daniel 4:16, let his heart be changed from man's, let him be given the heart of a beast, and 7 times pass over him. And then he is changed back. So he's walking around on all fours like a man, and then he's given and his kingdom restored back to him. So in Daniel chapter 7, verse 4, we see already a lion with eagle's wings. We saw in Jeremiah 4, Babylon. And then we also see here this first king, he's lifted up from the earth, and then he's after he's restored, it stands on 2 feet like a man and was given a man's heart that was given back to him after he was changed into a beast. So we have here confirmation that this here is Babylon. Now, interestingly enough, the golden head is the first thing mentioned in the image of Daniel 2, and now we have the lion, which is the first of the 4 beasts in Daniel chapter 7. They are in parallel. So the golden head is just kind of like with Joseph's dream. There's the 7 fat cows and the 7 skinny cows and the 7 fat grains of wheat and the 7 skinny grains of wheat. And he says that the dream is the same, with just different. It's just a different metaphor. Daniel 2 and 7 is the same way. It's the same vision, but you're given different characteristics, which helps to refine one's understanding. So if you imagine looking at like a gemstone, and so you look at a gemstone and you turn it in one angle and the sparkles are blue, and you turn it in another angle and the sparkles are red. So as you're rotating the gemstone around, you'd see all the different facets in the beauty, in the intricacy of the stone, which is kind of why we get different metaphors of the same interpretation. And we'll see more in Revelation 13 also that is there. So it's to help us get understanding on matters. And here a little, there a little, line upon line, precept upon precept that we have. The Father basically takes a topic of, let's say, gold, and he loads it in his shotgun, and then he shoots it all spread in through the scriptures, and then we got to go find it. And so that's what we're doing. We're going on a little treasure hunt here, and we're going to find all the pieces of gold on the topic and hopefully put it together into a bar of understanding. So now we're going to look at Daniel 7:5 and see another beast, a second like a bear, and it was raised up on one side and had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. And they said to it, arise, devour much flesh. Now, we already covered that the silver, he says that a kingdom, that's inferior to gold, the kingdom after you in the statue, the golden head and the silver chest and arms, we already saw that's the Medes and the Persians. So what we have to now see is there a connection? Is the bear the Medes and the Persians? And so the answer, as I see, of a characteristic is in the chapter that we covered in Daniel 8. And it says here, of this ram, that the scriptures already told us is Medo-Persia in Daniel 8:20. Remember, I'll go there so you can just see it visually. It literally says that it's Media and Persia, and that these two horns are the kings, sovereigns of Media and Persia. So scripture already tells us Media and Persia. This is. So it says here that it has two horns. The two horns were high, and one was higher than the other, and the higher one came up last. So here we have a bear that is raised up on one side, higher than the other. So I take this as essentially the bear, and its one side is stronger than the other, and so it's raised up on one side, just as the ram has two horns, and the one is higher than the other, so too is this. Now, the statute doesn't say that one hand is higher than the other, but when I do see the statue, like when I envision it, I typically envision it as like one hand higher than the other. But it doesn't say that. But I can see how that would be there. But it doesn't say that in the statue itself. And that is Media Persia. And we're going to connect into what the feet of the bear is at a later point in time. Now, as far as the three ribs in its mouth, between its teeth, I haven't come to a conclusive understanding on that. I've heard some people say that it's the three like pieces of power that it clinged onto with its teeth. I've heard some people teaching on that, and that sounds like a good direction to be in. Also, arise, devour much flesh. Now, if people don't know how the Persian Empire worked, the Persian Empire was a confederacy of sorts. It wasn't like a federation kingdom like Babylon. What it would do is it would acquire kingdoms through power, but the kingdoms retained their sovereignty, which is why Persia, the King of Kings, it's a kind of a distortion of what what Messiah is, but it's the kingdom, the Persian Empire, would have its coalition of forces, and it would go into a location that it was going to conquer, and then it would surround an enemy with an overwhelming force, and it would tell them, you can do this the easy way or you can do it the hard way. The easy way is you open your gates and trust that we don't kill everyone here. We will do what we want to do, restructure as we want to restructure. But if you open your gates, there will be less bloodshed and less problems, but we're going to win either way. And so you allow us to come in, and you will retain your sovereignty as a kingdom, and you can and you will retain your power, but you are also now connected into the conglomerate of the coalition. And when we go to war, you go to war with us. And when we fight, you provide your army, and you maintain and fund, and then you share in the spoils of war. So there's incentive to be there. The hard way is we're going to starve you out, and then we're going to break through your gates, and then it's going to be really bad for you. And so you either trust us, and we may or may not be worthy of trusting, but either way, we're getting in. That's how the Persian Empire gained its power. So it gained its power through basically force of coercion, through duress. But it fought with a coalition style of warfare. Kind of why Darius lost in the Battle of Gaugamela, because his forces weren't really cohesive enough, and Alexander was very regimented that was there. So arise much flesh. So I believe here in Daniel 7, the bear is Media Persia that is there. So now we have here Daniel 7:6, and I looked in another, like a leopard, which had on its back, excuse me, 4 wings of a bird, and the beast also had 4 heads, and rule was given to it. Now, a thing that really pops out, and I don't really see a lot of people talking about this, rule was given to it. Now, this is the third beast here, the leopard. Rule was given to it. Let's look briefly here at Daniel 2 that we saw in the interpretation of it. Where is it at here? No, it's deeper down. Yeah. Daniel 2:39b, and another third reign of bronze that rules over all the earth. The King James will say, let me bring this up here, bear rule over all the earth, or rules over all the earth. And so this fourth or third kingdom, the bronze, brass, copper, however your translation has in there, it rules over all the earth in the statue. And then in Daniel 7:6, it says here that rule was given to it. I think dominion is what it says in King James. Yes, dominion. Is what it says here in King James. Dominion was given to it, rule. So we have the third kingdom, the third element in the bronze and the statue, rule was given to it over all the earth. And then now we have the third beast of the Daniel, dominion or rule was given to it. So again, it's the same beast that is there. It's the leopard or the bronze or brass that is there. So we know that after the bear, if it is, Media Persia, which I believe it is, after Media Persia comes Greece. And so we have a leopard that has on its back 4 wings of a bird. And the beast also had 4 heads. So in Daniel 8 that we covered, and that ram, which we know in 8:21 is Greece, and that first conspicuous horn, as Maccabees 1:1 says, that it is Alexander, son of Philip, the first king of Greece, that this ram, when that horn broke, 4 conspicuous horns come up, and the leopard has 4 heads. Also, observing and saw a male goat, this is verse 5 here, came from the west over the surface of all the earth without touching the ground, and the goat had a conspicuous horn between its eyes. So it's without touching the ground. It's running so fast it's not touching the ground. And Alexander, he was very efficient with his warfare tactics, studied very well, and he knew just how to rout the enemy, which is what he did. And he was moving so fast that they couldn't stop him. It was too quick for them to be able to react in time and arrange all the coalitions all to get together and do battle preparations and all that. Maybe they weren't, doing workups out in the middle of the Pacific enough. I don't know, they weren't in the Pacific, but that's, reference to military strategies today, in coalition of forces. So, here it says that his feet were not touching the ground. And in Daniel 7 verse 6, it says it has 4 wings of a bird or of a fowl that is there. It's moving fast. It has quick movement, but has 4 heads. Now, I don't know about you, but if you have 4 heads, especially 4 heads that don't have the Ruach Kodesh in them, that are all stuck to the same body, and each one controls a different limb, and they don't get along, they're not going to be very efficient at moving around. And so it's going to, it'll work for a time until, hatred rises enough, and the kingdom is going to lose its power through that. The Persian side, because one horn was higher than the other, it was able to basically have the tip the balance of power, and was able to do a little bit better in that aspect. The Grecian side was good while it was under a unified leader, but when it split apart, it split apart, and it was having problems there. Rule was still given to it, but they warred amongst themselves of which body part was the one in power. So now we have here in Daniel 7. After this, I looked in the night visions and saw a 4th beast. Let me just see our time here. Let me see what time it is here. Yeah, okay. I looked and saw the 4th beast, fearsome and burly, exceedingly strong, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and crushed and trampled down the rest with its feet. And it was different from all the beasts that were before, and it had 10 horns. I don't have time to go over everything because there's some stuff at the end I want to get through that I feel is more important than all of the details here in Daniel 7. I can upload some stuff later on this, or I can talk of where I'm at, but I will make some pretty interesting connections that I don't think a lot of people have made before, and I've never heard elsewhere in this. So a lot of us have heard, the 10 horns and the one horn that comes up and plucks out 3 roots. A lot of us have heard that, but let's move to the stuff that we may not have heard. By the way, Daniel 7:9, Ancient of Days was seated as Revelation chapter 4. You go look at that at your own time. And then Revelation chapter 5 is here, Daniel chapter 7:13. Son of Man coming on the clouds with the heavens. Revelation, did I say 13? I'm sorry. Revelation 5. Yeah, so Revelation 4 is Daniel. Oh, I did say that right. So Revelation 4 is Daniel 7:9. Revelation 5 is Daniel 7:13. That is there. That rulership is given to him. Now, the thing that I want to share here is that these great beasts, which are four kings which rise up from the earth. And a king can't be a king unless he has a kingdom, right? So a beast has a king, but it also has a power and principality above it, and it also has dominion or rulership within its jurisdiction. Now, we've all seen this before. I ad-lib here. Sorry, that's Jack. The creator here, that's his name, however you want to pronounce his name, Yahuwah, Yahweh, the Lord. His name here, heaven and earth is his jurisdiction, and creator is his title that we have. The kings have that same aspect. You could say, you guys, Nebuchadnezzar would be his name. Babylon is the kingdom that is associated with him, and then the region of Babylon would be his jurisdiction, wherever that is in the laws and rulership and people that are under his control that were there. So these great beasts, which are four kings which rise up from the earth. Now we see in like Maccabees 1:1, it says that Alexander the Great, he was the first king over Greece. Greece would be the kingdom, but the man Alexander would be the king. So we could say like Darius or Artaxerxes or different kings that we see. These are different people, but they are people in power over a kingdom that are there. So yes, it does say 4 kings. But the implication is that a king has a kingdom and power and jurisdiction which arise, up from the earth, which are 4, which rise up there. So there are only 4. And in the Daniel statue, there's only 4. Now, the 4th kingdom does become divided. And so there is the iron legs and the clay and iron feet. Now, another thing that I haven't heard, there's a lot of things I haven't heard that I'm going to share here. In the brass bronze belly and thighs, why is it thighs plural? No one ever focuses on that. Why is it thighs plural? I take it, we can look at it in a different, there's a lot of different aspects to look at it. You have the 4 heads of the leopard, but then you have the 2 thighs of the statue. I see the 2 thighs of the statue as Athens and Sparta. They are like 2 different ways of running this Grecian system. They eventually start, when we go to war, the Peloponnesian Wars, and then they fight until another kingdom, Iron Leg Kingdom, comes up in like the 1st century that is there. And then the Iron Leg Kingdom, and I'm going to give you the answer of who it is. Well, look, what do we have in the scriptures? Let's go through the scriptures. Now, the history is history of the world, but we're concerned right now about the history in the scriptures related to his people. We know Babylon's in the scriptures, and then we know after Babylon, verbatim, comes the Persian Empire, and then after the Persian Empire, verbatim, we know comes the Grecian Empire. Who's the kingdom and power in the whole New Testament, the whole Brit Hadashah? It's Rome. Yeah, right. It's Rome. There is no other kingdom that comes. There's not another kingdom. It's 4 kingdoms. Now there's other kingdoms, but these 4 kingdoms, as it says here, that which rise up from the earth, there's something special about these kingdoms in their relation and their evolving, I guess you could say, their growth through time. So the Iron Leg Kingdom, or the the fourth kingdom of Daniel here, this fourth beast, it devoured, crushed, and trampled down the rest with its feet. It's only that fourth kingdom. And Rome is the only kingdom that took power from Greece. It did so in the first, yes, you could say it kind of started in the second century BC, but it officially became an empire in 37 BC. 37? Yeah. Well, no, that's when it military occupied. 27? When Augustus Caesar finally beat Mark Antony and Cleopatra, you could argue that that's when it became an empire under a Caesar. Before that, it was a republic, but it gained power over Greece through its conquest. Julius Caesar really did a lot for the Roman kingdom. And then he basically died, and then the succession came after him. But Rome is the kingdom that came power after Greece, even though the scriptures don't directly reference it. In the scriptures that we have, it literally goes with the people. We see it: Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, and then we see Rome. So that comes after that, and the whole Brit Hadashah is all about Rome. In its integration with Pharisees, Sadducees, Messiah, and the set apart people that are in the land, but it's the Roman kingdom is the backdrop there. So let me show you while we have this up, and then quickly let's go to Revelation. Wow, thought I was doing good on time. Now we're short on time. So Revelation 13. Now that we have all that fresh in our mind. Now remember what we just read: the fourth beast devours, tramples, and crushes. Or rips to pieces. So the rest of the beasts. So if there's a lion, a bear, and a leopard, and then there's this fourth beast that breaks in pieces, devours what it wants to devour, and tramples what it wants to trample, then it essentially is an amalgamation of the different characteristics of the beasts. It is Frankenstein's monster. It is Voltron. It is Power Rangers. That's many come one. E pluribus unum in Latin. It is what it is, and that's what we see here in Revelation 13. Stood on the sand of the sea. I saw a beast coming up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his horns 10 crowns, and on his heads names of blasphemy. And the beast that I saw that was like a leopard. Well, that's the third beast in Daniel 7. Like the feet of the bear, there's the second beast in Daniel 7. In the mouth like a lion, there's the first beast in Daniel 7. There's all three right there. And it took in what it wanted, and it was like, oh, I like the body of a leopard, the likeness of a leopard. Interestingly, why do I believe that the Greco-Roman kingdom, the Roman kingdom took the primary image of Greece? Well, because rule and dominion of the world was given to it, as we saw in Daniel 2 and Daniel 7. Those are their characteristics. Dominion was given to the third kingdom. Rule was given to the third kingdom. Rome wants to rule the world, and so it took that power when it devoured it from Greece. It wanted that as its own. That's why I believe it took the body of the leopard in that aspect. And it took on a lot of the characteristics and just basically turned Ares into Mars and Zeus into Jupiter, and just renamed and repurposed a lot of the false gods of Greece and turned it into the false gods of Rome. Now, the feet were like the feet of a bear. Now, we covered the bear as Medo-Persia. Now, why did it take the feet of a bear? Now, this is what I've come to understand on this, and I haven't heard anyone teach this before. A bear, yes, it fights with it bites you with its mouth, but a bear's claws are like a sledgehammer with spikes welded on it, right? And a bear, it pummels you with its paws. Primary weapon, pummels you with its paws, and then after it's got you where it wants you, and you're dazed and confused, then it goes in and starts devouring. So the bear fights with its front paws. So why does Rome take the feet of the bear? Because it wants to adopt the fighting characteristics of Media Persia. Now everyone thinks Persia, and I explained to you how Persia fights. It's a coalition of forces. Rome would literally build a road to the enemy, and then they would defeat their enemy, and then they would make their enemy part of their kingdom. That's what the gall of that man. What Julius Caesar did to Gaul, what he did, he killed like a third of the population, literally, and then enslaved everyone else, and then they become the kingdom. They became part of that, and the rulership, and then after the generations, they're all acclimated into the kingdom. So Rome fights with this coalition style warfare because it adopted it from how Persia did it. It just did it better. But everyone always talks about, the Persian side. Yes, that's how Persia fought with conventional warfare. But how did the Medes fight? Where does the word Mede come from? Well, we have the word Mede today, media. It's really where the word media, Persia, Medes and the Persians, that's where the word comes from today. And the way that I see it is that it's informational warfare. They kept their kingdom together through coalition of informational warfare. So they would fight you through the informational warfare, and then if they didn't beat you psychologically, then they would beat you physically. It's a 1-2 punch that hits you. In the psychological warfare, the Medes came first, and then the physical warfare came second. The Persians came like second in that aspect. And so Rome would build the road to the enemy. They would send their people into the kingdom, standing on their soapboxes, talking about, we're the best, we've never been defeated, Rome's number one, you can't defeat us. Look at Carthage, look what happened to Carthage, and look what happened to Gaul, and look what happened to them. No one has stood against Rome. But if you side with us, we got aqueducts, you got your denarius, you got your money, and we'll give you into the funding, and you become part of the kingdom, and it's a great thing to acclimate into the kingdom. They would psychologically break people down, like that's a better system than ours. Why are we going to let our leaders be in power? Let's let them be in power. We don't have to all lose our lives for this. Let's give up to the Roman kingdom. It's psychological warfare. It's the art of warfare, defeating an enemy before he even knows that he's in a battle. So the Roman kingdom took on the feet of a bear and the mouth of a lion, and from a person's mouth, from a person's heart, the treasures in someone's heart outflows into their mouth. Therefore, it's also the Babylonian mindset, which is like a Babylonian heart, which comes forth into a Babylonian type speaking. It's a confusion mixture that is there. So that's how I see here this first beast of the sea that is there. We are pretty much out of time. I got 52 minutes. I usually go to an hour. Is that okay to go for another 7 minutes? That is there. Okay, so let's connect here, and I want to talk here about this second beast that is here. Remember, there is only 4 elements: gold, silver, bronze, iron. Yeah, clay and iron. I understand, but it's iron. It's a divided kingdom, but it's still iron. It still is the 4th kingdom. It's not a 5th kingdom. And there's only 4 beasts: the lion, the bear, the leopard, and the amalgamating beast, which breaks the pieces and basically consolidates things, the best of what it considers the best, survival of the fittest, right? So this other beast coming up out of the earth, 2 horns like a lamb and spoke like a dragon, it has to be Rome. There is only Rome in the end days. Rome is here, and it's always been in power. It's a 2,000-year empire that has many different names on it, but its structure and organization is Rome. But when you look here in Revelation 17, and I want to kind of give some interesting understanding. Maybe, hopefully, this will be a wow moment for some people that haven't heard this information. This woman sitting on a scarlet beast covered with names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Now, in Revelation 17:8, the beast that you saw was and is not and is about to come up out of the pit of the deep and goes to destruction, and those dwelling on the earth, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, shall marvel. Other scriptures in other locations on the same topic say that they worship it. Daniel 13 says that. I'll point that out shortly. Shall marvel when they see the beast that was, is not, and yet is. Interestingly, was, is not, is about to. Was, is not, yet is. Doesn't make any sense. What are you talking about? How can it be was not, is about to, and yet is? The understanding that I have behind this is that it's time. And the heads of the beast are the the heads of power in time. Now, the statue gets struck on the feet. It's a timeline. The golden head is a timeline. Think of the statue, now put it on its side. Well, do it this way. The head's here. Put it on its side for you here as we normally flow time this way. The golden head is the timeline of Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, Rome, divided Rome, gets struck on the feet. It's a timeline of when the Roman kingdom gets destroyed. We're in the divided kingdom, the divided Roman kingdom. Whether it's now or tomorrow or sometime, who knows, in the future, it gets struck on the feet. So it's in this timeline that it gets struck. But if you look at the scripture, what we have from what we shared is from the book of Daniel, Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, Rome, and then divided Rome. But what are the two kingdoms that came before Babylon? First, you have Egypt, and then Egypt loses power, and then you have Assyria. What's interesting about all these kingdoms, from Egypt to divided Roman kingdom, is that they all have a similar characteristic with a very unique interaction with the set-apart people. Egypt had all 12 tribe kingdoms, enslaved them, and then eventually let them go, well, forced to let them go, and then lost power. And then Assyria took power, and then it had interactions, and it corrupted the 10-tribe kingdom, or the 10-tribe kingdom corrupted itself and lusted after them, as Ezekiel 23 and 16 state. Verse 23, Ezekiel 23 verbatim says this. Well, I think verse 5 through 9 talks about that. It says Assyria and the 10-tribe kingdom, Samaria, directly, verbatim. And then Assyria took power and then took control of the 10-tribe kingdom, come to Jerusalem, is destroyed, and then Babylon comes up. So when it says that it was, is not, is about to come up out of the deep, was, is not, and yet is, in the next portions here, Revelation 17:9, here is the mind having wisdom. That's advanced, refined knowledge and understanding. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. There are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen, and 1 is, and the other has not yet come. And when he comes, he has to remain a little while. 5 have fallen, 1 is, the other has not yet come. 7 kings. You have the king of Egypt, and then of Assyria, and then of Babylon, and then of Medo-Persia, and then of Greece. This book of Revelation, written arguably on the Isle of Patmos, 95 AD, was in the time of Rome. So 5 of these heads had already fallen, but it's all part of the same body of the same beast. And they all took control of the set-apart land in some way, shape, or form. Egypt had a power of the set-apart people, and it reaches power up into that land. And then Assyria took the 10-tribe kingdom and took control of that land. Babylon took full control of that. Medo-Persia took control Babylon had. Greece took control of what Medo-Persia had, and then Rome took control of what Greece had. The empire was military occupied, I believe, in 37 BC. Judea was by the Roman kingdom. So the interesting is a succession of power, but it's a special interaction with the set-apart people that are there. So this is why I see here in Revelation 17:8, the beast that you saw it was Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece. It is not yet the divided Roman kingdom, and is about to come up out of the pit of the deep. That's the beast that is the 8th, but is of the 7. That's the one that we didn't read in verse 11 here. But then it says that they marvel to see the beast that was, well, that's the first 5 kingdoms that already fell, is not what it's going to be here in the future, yet it is the kingdom of Rome as it was written in the timeline there. It's time. It's the beast through time. So if you want to understand what the beast is the beast is a kingdom, and you can call it the father's subcontractors that are here in power to provide a level of law and order, just as Nebuchadnezzar, who wrote, I, Nebuchadnezzar, Daniel chapter 4, he wrote it, the book there, penned it in the first person, is that the Father puts these things in power. But just like Belshazzar, the Babylonian Empire became severely corrupted and then was put in its place. So the kingdom of Rome today, of who is that? Don't really have time. We are We are at an hour, so that's the 11th hour here. I guess I can give you the pearl. I'll give you the last minute here that we have of who I believe it is, and I don't want you to. You remember when the people were in Babylon or Medo-Persia or in Greece, they were there in the diaspora. Whether you're the 10-tribe kingdom or the 2-tribe kingdom, or you're the Gentiles that now are grafted in, and we're all part of the whatever tribe that we so pick, Ezekiel 47, 21 through 23. We're in we're of the one kingdom of the Father, but we're in some form of diaspora mixed through the world. I personally believe that this other beast coming up out of the earth had 2 horns like a lamb, spoke like a dragon, comes in all the authority of the first beast, which I believe is Rome. I believe that this beast here coming up out of the earth is the divided Roman kingdom that comes in all the authority of world rulership in the world. So what you would have to look for in the end days is Rome had a republic and a senate and a system of governments. You need to look for a world power that is in control of the world system, that has all the characteristics of the Roman gods. It even would have it on its money or the Roman insignia on their money. You would need to find a kingdom that has a 2-horn kingdom, which would be 2 political houses of power that would be there, and they would have the power and authority given to Rome, and it would be in the end days, and it has to have a special interaction with the set-apart people, and just like Assyria had control of the land, and then Babylon had control, and then Medo-Persia had control of the land, and Greece and Rome had control of the land, you need to find a kingdom with 2 political houses of power that has a control over the set-apart land, or a major influence with the set-apart land over there in Jerusalem, Israel today. You need to find a world power that is doing that with a 2-party political house. I think you make the dots on that. But Nebuchadnezzar is my servant. So I'm not, it's the beast. Yeah, I get it. Nebuchadnezzar was too, but the Father contracted that 3rd head of Babylon. And until law and order broke down enough, he punished Babylon and rose Medo-Persia up in place. So if that 2-horn power kingdom that is of the Roman Empire today, and the world power, and it would have to have control of the world finances. It would have to have military and political control and influence over the world, as well as you could say a separation of church and state, that the state is over the church specifically, which is unique to where it was ever since Justinian the Great switched that power in 530. Forget the number, 530. It's 530 something. 531, I think, is what it is. Not to disparage any world power kingdom in world that is there, because they are a subcontractor that is there. And I thank Yahuwah for allowing that subcontractor to be in power, because things could be a lot worse if there was a different, more corrupted kingdom in power, but it doesn't. But the pattern is all of the beast kingdoms all fell apart because they lost sight on even the basic fundamentals of loving your neighbor as yourself, starting with honoring your mother and father and everything that goes, no murder, no adultery, no stealing, no bearing false witness, no coveting your neighbor's things, the loving your neighbors yourself, and everything else, the things that should just be kind of like inherent to people. The first 4 of the 10 commandments, which are specific to link us to love our Father with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength, that is there. But these kingdoms lost sight of that. And so when they lost sight of even the most basic love of neighbor, they really fall into disrepair and collapse. But it doesn't disparage that kingdom is a subcontractor of the Father. And I do believe that kingdom that is in world power today, I do believe it is the United States. I'll say that verbatim. I do believe it is the United States, the 7th head that is there. I don't want people to think that I'm speaking against it. I am a military veteran, and I am happy that it is in power, but I'm not going to be delusional, because I know that the kingdoms of the world don't make it. Patriotic and happy that I am to be in this country, I also know that the only kingdom that lasts is Yahushua HaMashiach. So we are way over time. I thank you for. We have any? Yep. Thank you. Yeah. Is there any questions or before we close off here? I know there's probably a lot of stuff that we shared. Yeah. The deadly wound. Revelation 7 or 13, 5, 3. Yeah. Yeah, 3. I wish I had a solid answer. I have theories on this, and I don't. I wanted to share things that I'm really solid on, and so I wanted to share to give a foundation of this is really stable stuff that's like verbatim in Scripture. Now, some of the stuff here of the deadly wound, it would definitely be easier in hindsight to see this, which is why I believe that a lot of this stuff that we're seeing at now is so clear, is because it's in hindsight. What that is of that deadly wound, I do have some theories on what I've heard. I've heard Roman Catholic Church. One thing that I would just warn about the Roman Catholic Church is I call it RCC-itis. Itis means inflammation. So it's the inflammation of the Roman Catholic Church. People are taking the test and they put a Roman Catholic Church on every answer. Well, A, Roman Catholic Church. Fill in the blank, Roman Catholic Church. This is Roman Catholic Church. Oh, the harlot is Roman Catholic Church. Oh, the beast, Roman Catholic Church. Oh, the deadly wound, Roman Catholic Church. And I see that all the time. I'm like, it can't be everything. You know what I mean? It can't be everything. I think that the beast itself is a kingdom, and I know that the Roman Catholic Church took control of that, but I do believe the Roman Catholic Church is in connection with the woman of Revelation 17, not in fullness, but a large piece of. And so you could say that she is the woman in Revelation 17, but she's not the fullness of Revelation 17. However, the beast itself is a kingdom. A rulership of power and authority. So as I see it, is that the deadly wound that would be healed would have to be some type of a Roman power and structure. Just as the Roman kingdom was a empire and then also was a republic and then turned into an empire, I believe that the modern day Rome, I would say that there's some probably pretty strong evidence that it turns into a Caesar type power in the end, which could be the Antichrist. And it would be the power of Rome in a consolidated force taking control. I don't believe that it is the Roman Catholic Church, which is the deadly wound. Because you could also say the same thing with Islam. 1917, it got the deadly wound. I've heard the teachings on it. And so I think that could, I'm not sure I agree with that. I believe the power of Rome was state over church, and it lost state over church power for 1,260 years in various timelines of looking at it. But I believe that it would specifically have to be a unified Roman power of a political power structure. The head is a political power structure that would be there. So that's kind of how I feel on that. Yeah.
My question was about the Ottoman Empire that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Because they took over after the Eastern Roman Empire in 1517, and they held Israel, up until the end of World War I.
Yeah.
And you probably heard as well that they were the beast whose wound was, he was wounded as it would be healed because Erdogan wants to try to reorganize the Ottoman Empire. So can we totally rule out the Ottoman Empire since they were in that line of rulers over Israel?
So the interesting thing about Rome is if Satan casts out Satan, how then can his kingdom stand? Satan's kingdom in the end days is Rome, amalgamation, and it's always Caesar against Caesar. That's what World War I was always about. The German Kaiser, Caesar, against the Russian Tsar, against a Khazar, the hidden Khazar that would be there. And you had three different Caesars that were fighting in World War I, and it's always been like that with Rome. The Ottoman Empire, as I see it, is just another aspect of Rome under a different name. But it's the characteristics of of Rome. Rome, people always look at Europe. Rome was not Europe. Rome was the whole Mediterranean. And when Rome split, it split into pieces. You could say like the Christian side and then like the Islam side, but I see them as different factions of Rome. That are there. So Islam could be, if it is the Roman kingdom, that the head that was slain, that comes into power, it is a possibility. And I don't want to discount that. I just want to we'll know when we see things. But in hindsight, I just wanted to share what it is. But I do believe that it comes into a world power again. But it is not without opposition. As Daniel 11, we didn't have time to get into it. Daniel 11:27 talks about two kings, king of the north, king of the south, and their hearts are evil, and they sit at the same table speaking lies to one another. They're frenemies. So they're at the round table, but they're split amongst themselves. I don't believe that Rome ever fully comes into full power. It's going to try, but there's only one seat, and the different factions are fighting against that. So is it the Ottoman Empire? It's a possibility, but we'll see if it happens. Yeah. Is that? Anyone have anything else or? Yeah, so they can't hear you here. So you're talking about the beast coming up out of the earth with maritime law versus out of the sea. That I said earth, I meant sea. Beast coming out of the sea with maritime law. Yeah, I've heard the fringes on the flag.
Right, and
Yeah,
it's tied into all economics and all banking and when you go into like a courtroom and you see a gold fringe on the flag,
yeah,
that means you are in a maritime court.
yeah.
And versus the idea of law of the land, kind of that sovereign citizen kind of thing,
Right.
which is very strong in America.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know enough, and I haven't connected. I'm sure there's probably some connection in with that that is there, but I haven't made that connection to where I'm solid on it. Maybe we could talk on it afterwards. And a lot of my material that I have is basically is from the body and through my years of research and talking at the campfires on Sukkot and in different assemblies on the Sabbath that I go and do and talking on the topic. I feel that I've been able to gain a lot of information, refine things, and the stuff that's really solid I present on. And so maybe we can talk on that, and then I can feel confident enough to share that with people of information. Yeah. Yeah. I guess I will. There's a question. Yeah. Put what back up there? Put what? Oh, yeah. I'll put that up there. Yeah. So this is my email here. Pretty simple. yhwhsaves@pm.me. And if anyone, again, I'll put this up here too. You guys all know this because we're here. Oh, sorry. You're taking a screenshot? Let me put that back here. Okay. Yeah, this is registration for those here that are viewing at home. Come on here next year. Let's all get into the midrash and get into the topic understanding that is there in the registration. So yeah, I guess I guess I can share this here. Oh, yeah, I have. Well, I have a YouTube channel that all this is going to be posted on, and so I don't think you can. If you, I mean, people that are watching this already have the URL. But after this is done, come up here and I have cards here for you to grab, and then you can get my my URL for YouTube where I upload all my information at. Off the 11th hour. Ath is like the Aleph and the Tav, or Aleph and the Thaw dialect stuff. It's okay. And you see it. You see that it's right there. That's the Aleph and the Thaw. It's the Ten Commandments. It's the first four of the Ten Commandments. That's what the four lines represent. It's the 12 pieces of the day in the Hebrew time setting, the 12 pieces between telling time that is there. That's the lines, and also it's the light coming from the Torah, and it's also an alarm spinning around. That's a warning because we're in the 11th hour, and we need to be prepared for what is coming. But don't worry, do what's right in the Father. Stay in me, I stay in you, is what Messiah says. And I think of John 14:2, I think 14:4. That is there. So yeah, that's that. Unless there's any other questions, I'll probably just close things off. Okay, so I usually, thank you. You say, guard your heart, guard your soul, guard Torah, or pay the toll.